Goeiedag. Good day, fellow South Africans. And you know, one of the things that was so special about South Africa, and I'm talking about the earlier years, was these amazing private schools that they had. And I'll name two which I knew very well, and that was Michael House in Balgowan in Natal, or KwaZulu-Natal, and Hilton, which is near Pietermaritzburg in KwaZulu-Natal. And they were very expensive, they were very exclusive. They had a largely white student population. I guess that's a result of apartheid. But if you look at the students in those schools today, there's a growing number of Africans, which is great. That's not an issue. But this is an issue. Because of the rhetoric of people like Malema and Andile, the parents of these children are leaving South Africa. And these private schools, who are largely dependent on still, and that's an unfortunate circumstance, but it's a reality, they're still largely dependent on white students, are now facing a huge issue. There's a huge migration of the wealthier whites from South Africa. And as a result, there are a lot of kids that have been sucked out of these schools, which are now facing the crossroads, if they can continue or not. I'll read you an article which discusses this very briefly. And basically it says that the number of white children leaving private schools in South Africa today is about 30% of their student register. And they've now got to try and build that up through people of color. Now, let's just think about this. Okay, we got BEE, which is closing down white businesses. You got white people who've been running these businesses saying, hey, we've had enough of this. We got some money. We're getting out of here. And it's like the snowball. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's moving faster and faster and faster. People can see the writing on the wall, and they're getting the hell out of there. And one of the most interesting casualties of this are the private schools in South Africa. And I would not be surprised to see one of the two schools that I've just mentioned earlier closing down in the next few years because they don't have enough students coming through. Now, I will show you a video in a minute which actually talks specifically about that subject. But before I do, I have some good news for you guys, okay? I try and look at migration options for you, okay? And I have a new source who's willing to help white South Africans. And the operative word here that she spells out is white South Africans. So she's obviously someone who's very clear on that. And she says her name is Melissa. And I have commented on one of your YouTube videos. I said I was buying 300 acres of the east coast of Australia, and I welcome any white South Africans. Now, I know which part of the east coast she is on, but I'm not going to say anything more. She says, I mean what I said. If I can help my fellow white brothers and sisters relocate to Australia, please let me know. I'm willing to protect them as much as possible from any, I'm not going to use the word, but basically anyone who tries to force them to go back to South Africa. Okay. if you would like any information about me, please let me know. You can contact me via this email, and then she's given me that sort of stuff. In case you may have considered my motives, it's not money, and I won't ask for any. So she's offering this opportunity to South African families, white South African families, who are wanting to get the hell out of there, an option to migrate to Australia. And look, you guys have to do the legal stuff. All I do is I don't give advice. I'm just giving information, and I'm happy to put you in touch with her directly. You need to look at the immigration sort of stuff, but this is an opportunity for people. Okay, she's got 300 acres, and she can accommodate people, and just email me. I'll put my email address down below, so you can send me an email, and I'll pass it on to BB. We'll call her BB. Okay. All right, guys. Look, I know it's like a little ant working in a huge nest, but I'm trying, okay? And the more I get these videos out there, the more people around the world are getting outraged about what's going on, and that's what we need. We need a lot of people like Brandy and Hawk and others who are now coming on board working with us. Okay, guys, so look, it's we got our little snowball going too, okay? We're building up. We're going to build up, and we're going to try and help all you guys, all right? Okay, so watch the video. It's about how there's a huge amount of migration going on out of South Africa amongst the people who've got money and who are able to go. And they're the taxpayers. And that should make people like Ramaphosa very, very worried, because he is going to become beholden to China. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed, and have a lovely day, guys. Bye for now.
You can be a champion. 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 Yeah, you can be the greatest. You can be the best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You could beat the world, you can beat the war. You can talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you could beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you gon' find yourself. Standing in the Hall of Fame, and the world's gonna know your name, 'cause you burn with the brightest flame, and the world's gonna know your name, and you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. You can go the distance, you can run the mile. You can walk straight through hell with a smile. You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke. You do it for your people, do it for your pride. How you ever gonna know if you never even try? Do it for your country, do it for your name. 'Cause there's gonna be a day when you're standing in the Hall of Fame, and the world's gonna know your name, 'cause you burn with the brightest flame, and the world's gonna know your name, and you'll be in the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be a champion, be a champion, be a champion. On the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions, be truth seekers, be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions, standing in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name, 'cause you burn with the brightest flame. And the world's gonna know your name, and you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame.
Khan, good morning. And thanks for your time this morning. So, emigration, are we seeing a direct impact on schools, especially private schools?
We have had some reports from our member schools indicating that many families are immigrating, and they are seeing an uptick in terms of immigration, yes.
So what is the impact? Are you able to give us maybe roughly some numbers as to what we're seeing in terms of pupils exiting private schools?
Many of our schools, I mean, you've just mentioned Avitec, who's one of our members, and you've mentioned those figures. But many schools are talking about an increase of, say, maybe 5 families would be leaving. Now you're talking about 10 to 15 who are leaving now this year.
And, I mean, are there any other factors that are also affecting the numbers that we are seeing dwindling in private schools? Is it a matter of high fees other than just immigration?
We are actually quite surprised to hear that reporting that there's a drop in independent school numbers. In our figures, we actually as an association have grown quite significantly. In fact, I was looking at the figures most recently and I was quite shocked. For a long time, we were educating 166,000 students. Now we're sitting at 190,000 students. So we have not seen that drop in terms of enrollments in independent schools. What we are seeing is that parents are making decisions to cascade down in terms of fee levels. So they'll go from a high fee school to a mid fee school.
Okay, so fees are a determining factor. Fees
Very much, yes.
Because they are impacting the household.
Definitely.
What about teachers? I mean, we've also seen reports of teachers leaving the country, which might be impacting these schools as well.
In fact, I think that we could see that as a good reason and something to celebrate as a country. Because what is happening is that obviously our teachers are in great demand and they are actually demanded internationally. So we are seeing immigration from teachers, but also sometimes they're leaving because their partner or spouse, as a family, they leave in the country. But there is a demand for South African teachers, there's no question, in international markets.
So what do we do? I mean, you say, yes, it seems like fees are having an impact. Parents who could afford can no longer afford to keep their children. Is there maybe a discussion about lowering the fees at these private schools to maybe bring in the numbers?
The great difficulty for independent schools in South Africa is that we are seeing an increase in terms of financial assistance that's been given back to parents. However, what is important to note is that because of the significant portion of the basket that is salaries, which invariably all of us don't want to get inflationary increases. So in independent schools, you're talking about your wage bill being up to 80 to 70%. As a result, that is why you see that increases in terms of school fees are invariably higher than national inflation. And we estimate between 2 to 3% is higher in terms of education market. So what we do encourage parents to do is to look for those schools that they can afford. There is wide variety of diversity. So our schools in ISASA charge fees between R0 and for a full boarding school around 285,000 a year.
Wow. Okay. Well, already that number's got me feeling a bit dizzy. So, I mean, there are also ways to maybe, I don't know, work around this. A lot of schools offering, is it sibling discounts or those with more than one child at a particular school? Are you looking at innovative ways then, maybe, to keep parents at these schools?
Each school has its own funding model, and so, you know, as in ISASA, we are a schools association, so we actually do not dictate policy. So we do see that there are some schools that offer discounts. There are also schools that offer if you pay the fees at the beginning of the year, they'll give you a 5 to 8% discount. Sometimes those discounts, even as a parent, when you look at it, it's better for you to keep the money in the bank,
Yeah.
get your interest and pay them when
Pay
it's
it
due.
and pay it out,
But
yeah.
actually, for many parents, especially if you're struggling with fees, it really is not a bad idea to know I got my bonus in January, or I got it in December. I'm going to take a portion of that, pay the school fees. Then I know for the rest of the year I don't have to worry about whether my children are in a good school or not.
So it's done that way. So just a final word from you then, Lebogang. I mean, do you see private schools continuing to survive? Are you worried about the future of private schools if we see numbers like this continuing to dwindle?
No, actually, I was talking to one of my colleagues, one of our heads, who's left a school. He called me. He's going to be opening up another school in KwaZulu-Natal. We can only see growth in terms of independent schools in Southern Africa and in South Africa. But also what people don't understand is that South Africa really is divided into two types of schools. No-fee schools and those who charge fees. So both public schools and independent schools that charge fees are actually in the same market. So I would expect actually more growth in fees that range around 15 to 25,000 rands. Though that is where we are seeing growth in terms of increases in member schools.
Now, I've also heard criticism, and that could be from angry friends or relatives, I don't know, but just saying that when it comes to schools like this, to independent schools, to private schools, it's more about the business than education of pupils, that business is their priority. I'd like your thoughts on that.
Oh, I think that's unfair. Every teacher and school I've entered into, they always worry about the child. And I think that is something that is what I love about my job. You know, I'm a former attorney, and when I go into schools, in fact, I was saying to my colleagues, what I love about education, people laugh, they hug, they talk about children and trying to make the very best for them. However, it is important that independent schools must ensure that they are sustainable. And also, as parents, I encourage parents to look for those schools that actually fit their ethos and their principles. So you must look for a school that actually mirrors the values of your family, rather than say, okay, fine, it's a closer school or it's a name brand school. And also, more importantly, not every school is for every child. So even within a family, some children may thrive in a small environment, some
Yes.
children may thrive in a big
It's
environment.
important to know where your
So
child
those are
fits in.
that.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks very much for that. Well, it is tough times. Schools feeling the pinch as well. Executive Director of the Independent Schools Association of Southern Africa, Lebogang Montjane, joining us now.